homeless people in downtown New Bedford this morning on the streets. More homeless people in downtown New Bedford this morning than nip bottles in that trash on the streets. Authorities are still investigating the recent shooting death in New Bedford South End. Bus to train service soon coming to the city. Yeah, more than one city too. But I was saying New Bedford when I said the city. I could have said Fall River because that same service is going to Fall River. Any Confederate flag sightings at the feast last night? Day 3 gets underway at noon. Should high school students, and this is a serious question here, should high school students have a vote on the elected school committee? Yeah, they're voicing their concern. That's what they want. Should high school students have a vote on the elected school committee? Jim joins us with a look at tomorrow's Town Square Sunday. Myron Golden provides us with the Brian's Beat quote of the day. But next, a deeper dive into August 5th, 2023. First Saturday in August. That means we have 142 shopping days before Christmas. 143 if you sneak out and get a gift early Christmas morning, like I used to do. All right, it is Saturday, August 5th. It is International Hangover Day. If you went to the feast last night and enjoyed a few, you might be feeling it this morning. Also, yesterday was International Beer Day, so you might be feeling it from Beer Day today, which is Hangover Day. It's also Traffic Light Day. Yeah. I don't know if that means the traffic light was invented on this particular day in whatever year, but it's Traffic Light Day. I actually thought about going through an intersection with the light just to honor Traffic Light Day. I did not. I assure you I did not. It's National Clown Day, along with being Mustard Day. I prefer mine brown and organic. Mustard Day. Do you have a preference? I guess I could make that more or less a generational flashback, although people are still enjoying mustard today, so, well, I'll ask you, brown or yellow when it comes to your mustard, brown or yellow? What else do we have today? Oyster Day. Oyster Day. Now, I don't know about you, but I love deep fried clams. I really do. But I love fried oysters even better. Oyster Day. It's Taxpayer Appreciation Day. And I don't know how much you want to appreciate it because for most of us, this isn't that date where all the other money we make starting later on, I guess you can start at afternoon today, you're making for yourself instead of making for governments. But unfortunately, Taxpayer Appreciation Day is a different day for everybody. There was a time we knew exactly when we were at that point because we didn't have things like millionaire tax and graduated income taxes and stuff like that. But we do now. So appreciate the fact that government is happy to tax you more and more and more. Taxpayer Appreciation Day. It's also National Underwear Day. I don't know when, or for that matter, who decided to come up with National Underwear Day. Note it's not International Underwear Day. You don't see the folks down under, folks in Africa saying, hey, it's Underwear Day. We want to celebrate. No, only the yin-yangs in this state, or in this country, I should say. National Underwear Day. boxers or briefs? Or are you like me? You can go either way. Oh, I gotta watch how I say that. But anyway, I wear boxer briefs. That's what I meant by that. It's also work like a dog day. Work like a dog day. To me, that kind of goes with the fact that it's not really Taxpayer Appreciation Day. You got to keep on working like a dog. And by the way, well, what does that get you when you work like a dog? Do you end up on top? So what do I mean by that? Do you end up breaking over, not only break even, but to that point where you're doing well? I don't think so. I think sometimes the harder you work, the less you make. In fact, Myron Golden is going to talk about that in our quote of the day, which is coming up in just a bit. The U.S. Army abolishes flogging on this date in 1861. Can you believe it? It's bad enough that our military led the way with flogging. But when I think of flogging, I'm sorry, I'm not thinking. My guess is there are some people that know exactly what I'm thinking in this particular case, and I think I'll leave it like that. Army abolished flogging. Same day, same year. The first income tax levied to support the War of the States. 3% on all income over $800. The good thing about that income tax, after the war, it ended. The income tax, the withholding tax, it didn't stop. It did not stop after World War II. And from what I can see, it seems to get larger and longer each and every year. I remember watching this on TV and thinking, man, we're going to beat the hell out of them. 1964. The United States begins bombing North Vietnam. Why? Because the day before, the North Vietnamese bombed warships in the Gulf of Tonkin. And yeah, I really did think, hey, we're going to wipe these guys out. Well, 10 years later, we know what happened. President Reagan fires more than 11,000 air traffic controllers on this date in 1983. Why? The air traffic controllers, they wanted more benefits. They wanted better wages. The president said, we're not going down this road. And if you think you're going to strike, well, I'm going to strike back. He did. He fired them. 11,359 air traffic controllers fired. I understood where he was coming from because that crippled, for a couple of days anyway, a couple of months, that crippled the airline industry. Begs the question, should other government employees be allowed to strike? Should other government employees be allowed to strike? And I'm going to not only say federal government, state government, county, city government. Should they be allowed to strike? All right, it's time for the quote of the day. The Brian Speak quote of the day comes from Myron Golden. And this is what Myron stated. In fact, I saw this on YouTube the other day. By the way, Myron Golden is someone that I know. He and I have had numerous conversations, and he decided to do something different. I'll explain what he did differently than working hard in just a bit. Anyway, Myron's quote, "Stop looking at all the hard ways to make a little bit of money and start looking at all the easy ways to make a lot of money. In other words, what Myron is saying in this particular case, don't work hard, work smart. And that's what he did. He used to be a trash collector, hardcore trash collector. When he was growing up, he never had a new car in his family. His folks always bought used cars that needed to be worked on, and he being Myron and his brother, they would work on cars, turn around and sell them to make a little bit of money. So when Myron says, stop looking at all the hard ways to make a little bit of money and start looking at all the easy ways to make a lot of money, he knows what he's talking about. He's a multimillionaire. Welcome back. I'm Brian. If you'd like to get a hold of me, 508-996-0500 to get onto the program today. Next hour, we're going to be joined by Michael King. Michael is with the Massachusetts Family Institute. He's going to tell us about a project that he has been working on and has been fairly successful at it over the past couple of years. And that is instituting what are known as learning centers. Learning centers. He'll tell us more about that during hour number 2 of the program. Every once in a while, and I shouldn't say it like that, that's not true. Almost every day, I go to WBSM.com. And I have to admit, we don't have as much hard news as we used to have. But every once in a while, I come across a story that I say, wow, that's pretty much talking about me. And in this particular case, stoplights won't change to green faster if drivers do this. And I'm sure you've tried it once or twice. Maybe you haven't. The light is already red. You're going to be the first car rolling up into that white cross line where you're supposed to stop. And you think, well, if I go a little bit slower and roll my way in, the light's going to turn green and I'll just be able to scoot along. Have you ever done that? I can't tell you how many times I've done it. But I can say this, more than several, whatever several really comes out to. Well, according to this article at WBSM.com, that's not going to happen. You should actually pull to a stop, according to the article. And apparently, I guess I had an idea, but underneath the pavement that we're driving on, there are sensors. And sometimes these sensors are triggered by the weight of the vehicle. And if you're going slower, I haven't figured this out. If you're going slower, it might not sense that you're in a big enough vehicle and trigger the other sensor to make the light go. I don't get it. Won't be the first time, won't be the last, but at any rate, apparently it doesn't work. We it's kind of like gaming the system. When it comes to traffic lights, we can't game the system. Check out the story for yourself. Really, really nice story at WBSM.com. Speaking of driving, as I like to do each and every Saturday coming into the radio station, I take my saunter through downtown. And I saw a homeless person sleeping outside near the bell in front of the downtown library. That isn't anything unusual. There was a person sprawled out over at the bus terminal. Again, nothing unusual. So I went around and I went down William Street, got all the way down to Water Street, turned right onto, I guess that's North Water at that particular time. I went by the couple of restaurants, turned left onto Union, and right there greeting me as I got onto the cobblestones, in fact, right in front of 47 Union. 47 Union, a building that has a Lanigan sign on the front, but it doesn't look like it's occupied at this particular time. But right there on the street, a whole bunch of trash. If you heard me earlier, more trash than homeless. Fewer nip bottles than the 3 homeless people that I saw. Actually, only 1 nip bottle in this trash, but there are a lot more plastic cups, styrofoam cups, papers, all kinds of stuff. So to the point that many people have made in regards to this nip bottle ban, which hasn't taken effect as of yet, you're still going to have trash on the streets. You may be able, look, I'll give the benefit of a doubt. That you're going to be able to take care of nip bottles. Then what's next? Are you going to come back and ban styrofoam cups? You're going to tell McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts and Honeydew and Burger King and the like, no more, don't give out paper napkins anymore. Are you going to say to these companies, do not hand out straws unless the customer asks for one? I don't think so. Really? But then who knows? Politicians and the wannabes, people that are on licensing boards, they're the wannabes. Yeah, they consider themselves public servants, of which they are. But, and you know what that but is. But they need something to keep themselves occupied. And in this particular case, it seems like Mayor Mitchell gave them a nice fat, hey, look, why don't we do a nip bottles ban? And so they did. 3-0. 3-0 was the vote. As I said, there's a heap of trash right there in front of 47 Union. I don't think the folks at 47 Union put it there. I don't know who put it there. Or I don't know the who's of who put it there. But I know it was there. I took my camera out, my phone, and I snapped some pictures, tried to do a video, but it was way too dark. It doesn't really come out. The pictures, I even zoomed in on that one nip bottle just to say, oh, yeah, well, folks are right. There are nip bottles on the streets. Not that I ever thought that there weren't any. But I agree with many of the callers that have called into this program and to other shows on WBSM that there's a lot of other trash besides the nip bottles. Pretty soon, why don't we just say no more liquor stores? Let's just get rid of the liquor stores. That'll take care of everything. Anyway, so that's what I saw. I did not go to the feast. But if you went to the feast, was it out there again? Was that Confederate flag at the vendor near Madeira and Hawthorne? Did that vendor still have the Confederate flag, and was she or he still selling Confederate flags? Again, nothing, when I say nothing wrong with it, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. And should people go up and burn your flag? No, they shouldn't. But I could understand if they're upset and do something like that. I'm not going to stick up for them. It's obviously a crime, but I can kind of get it. That stated, I'm curious. Did anybody see it out there again? We had a caller. I was in for Barry yesterday. We had a caller state that apparently that was an issue last year. She didn't know if it's the same vendor. But then when you think about it, how many vendors want to display their wares at the feast and have Confederate flags as part of what they want to sell? I don't think you're going to have 5 or 6 different vendors trying to do the same thing. So maybe it was, again, I don't know. Maybe it was the same vendor. But that definitely caught my attention yesterday and certainly caught the attention of many others. One other thing I want to throw in before we go to the Bitcoin Biz Barometer. And again, I'm going to direct you back to WBSM.com. This time, Tim put up an article. Amtrak starts New Bedford to Providence bus for train passengers. So what exactly does this mean? Because I asked him, he told me they're going to be running a bus from New Bedford to Providence. And I'm thinking, well, who's going to go to Providence to catch the train to go up to Boston? Why not just drive the little extra distance to go to Middleborough? And then I thought, well, the authority figures, those that are responsible for SouthCoast Rail, the MBTA, they're saying by the fourth quarter of this year, and we are in quarter number 3, by the fourth quarter this year, there is going to be train service from New Bedford to Boston. So I'm not quite getting it. And then Tim explains, no, it's for people that want to catch up to Amtrak and go from Providence to wherever. And as I read Tim's story, I note that there are some 500 different destinations that you can connect to from the Providence Amtrak station. This bus service, which is run by DATCO, the same folks that ran the bus from New Bedford up to Boston for $15 one way, they're also doing this service. I guess they have some kind of contract with the state. And so they're going to pick people up at the C Street terminal, not down at the downtown bus terminal, over at C Street. And take folks from C Street, pick up another group of people in Fall River. And then I don't know if it's nonstop from there or not, but then make their way to Providence. So there's more train service, more bus service coming into New Bedford. New Bedford's going to become one of those bigger, and I say New Bedford, but the New Bedford area, New Bedford and vicinity, greater New Bedford, whatever you want to call it, is going to become a hub. And I'm looking at it from a couple of angles. You can take that bus to Providence and go to work in Providence now. My guess is, only a guess, that it will be cheaper than taking the Peter Pan service. I could be wrong, but DATCO was always competitive in their favor against Peter Pan. So Providence has jobs. Greater Providence vicinity, if you don't mind taking a bus once you get in to Providence to go to different locations like Lincoln and Warwick. I don't know that I want to include Newport, but I suppose because they do have buses from Providence to Newport, you can do that too. But the idea being, folks are going to look at the Dartmouths, the Westports, the Freetowns, the Acushnets, Mattapoisett. If they're going in that direction, if they want to look in that direction for work, and that direction would be Greater Providence, there is now an angle, a way to get there. What does that do to New Bedford property prices? Bzzz. It's going to send them up. 508-996-0500. That's how you get on the program today. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In regards to you seeing the trash at the bottom of Union Street.
Yes.
I don't know if you were aware, but last night they had a big band and a stage set up there, and there must have been 200 plus people. So it was pretty rock and party atmosphere last night till about 9-10 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there was a lot of trash left that maybe hasn't been picked up yet.
And there was one nip bottle.
Okay.
Nip bottle.
Yeah.
There's a nip ban slated to go into effect in November, I believe.
Okay. Well, I'm just visiting the area. I'm not familiar with that nip ban, but yeah.
You're just visiting the area?
Yeah, I used to live here, and I've been in Florida for 22 years, so I just came back to visit.
Well, glad to have you back to visit. How did you decide to turn on WBSM?
Oh, I always used to listen to the open line since I was young.
Huh?
And I turned it on every morning, and I heard you. And I hear all the things that are going on with the city council and certain people that are probably just too stuck and too attached to some of this New Bedford stuff that they're going crazy.
So you left 23 years ago, huh?
Yeah, yes, I did.
So was Brian Gomes still a city councilor when you left?
Yeah, Brian Gomes, absolutely.
Well, he's one now. I shouldn't say was he still. He probably was just starting out back in those days. He's still a councilor now.
Yeah. And I guess, I don't know, I mean, he must be getting voted in.
Well, that's people keep on voting. You get the government you vote for. And if you don't go, I guess we can also say you get the government that you don't vote for.
Yeah. And, the guys like Mitch McConnell, they're there forever. And you can't get those people to actually vote to limit their own terms, because those are the people that usually have to vote for term limits, the people you want to almost get out. And that's why it's really hard to do.
Yes, you're correct. I think what has to happen, I'm not a term limits type person. What has to happen is the people have to feel that it's time for a change. They have to set whatever limit within their own mind, whether it's 10 years, 12 years, 6 years, whatever the case may be, and then not vote to reelect a person after that particular time. I do it at 12.
Yeah. There are some things like the president that has term limits, president of the United States, and some governors. And, we accept it. It works out. We have a change of leadership that way. So it might not be a bad thing. It's just a tough thing to enact, because they have to vote on it themselves usually.
I'm not sure that the Congress has to, what we would need to do would be a constitutional amendment, which is how we ended up getting term limits for president.
Yeah.
Constitutional amendment. But I thank you for your call. I do appreciate it. And I would just say this to the trash at the end of the street. I think you're absolutely correct at the base of the street that it hasn't been picked up yet. My point was that there was only one nip bottle and there's a nip ban, and there was a lot of other trash that was down there. The other part should be that no matter what, whomever threw the event should be cleaning up after the event. So if it was if it's a private group, clean it up. If it's a city that's sponsoring it, clean it up.
Yeah. So you did not run into a stage that was all set up blocking?
No, none of that was down there.
So that was amazing that, probably close to midnight, they took that stage away and opened up the road again. So That's one good thing.
Well, I'm not surprised they do that all the time. The route that I drove this morning is a route that I drive every Saturday.
Yeah,
last year when they had those stages up, those stages were gone because I went to a couple of the outdoor concerts that they had at the base of Union and Route 18, and after the concerts are over, they break down the stage.
Yeah. And I will say, since I was away for 22 plus years and back now, I do see more unhoused people, as they say, sleeping around downtown, even during the day, hanging around the post office. And I don't know what the answer is for that, but it's kind of sad.
It is sad seeing it. I'm not quite sure what the answer is. I don't like the answer that many governments are coming up with. Hey, thanks for the call.
Okay, bye.
I do appreciate it. 508-996-0500. That's how you get on the program today. It is time now for the Bitcoin Business Barometer as we measure the universal crypto marketplace. Yes, indeed. What do we have today? Some of the favorites, like Bitcoin, down $331 from last Saturday morning, coming in at $29,022. Ethereum is down $45, coming in at $1,829. Binance Coin even at $241. XRP coming in at 62 cents. That's down 9 cents from last Saturday. Dogecoin even at 7 cents. Cardano down 2 pennies at 29 cents. And Solana $22 this morning. Last week at this time it was at $25. That's your Bitcoin Biz Barometer for today, August 5th, 2023. As always, I get my numbers from coinmarketcap.com. You know, I always tell you that I go to coinmarketcap.com because they're constantly updating the numbers. Right as I was writing down the number for Binance Coin this morning, whoops, it changed right there, right at that particular time. These numbers, they are constantly changing each and every second. Let us take a look at what's coming up on Town Square Sunday. Jim?
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everyone. Here's what's happening this week on Town Square Sunday. A night of Fairhaven history. It's happening on August 16th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Fort Phoenix. History buff Wayne Olivera will be your host, and he'll be talking about Fort Phoenix and its involvement in the American Revolution, as well as other skirmishes down through the years. Wayne Olivera, August 16th, 5 to 8 at Fort Phoenix in Fairhaven. We'll also be running down the schedule for August and September at the New Bedford Fishing Heritage Center. Laura Orleans joined me. She talked about all of the things that's happening, including the big one, their big fundraiser. That's the Seafood Soiree coming up on September 19th. Join me for Town Square Sunday morning at 6 and 11 on 1420 WBSM, 99.5 FM, and the WBSM app.
Jim, thank you very much. Let us continue on Brian's beat. 508-996-0500. The Brian's Beat quote of the day. Stop looking at all the hard ways to make a little bit of money and start looking at all the easy ways to make a lot of money. That quote from Myron Golden. MYRONGOLDEN. Myron Golden. Something interesting came across my computer screen the other day. Part of this is something that I talk about on a regular basis. Some of this is maybe even new news to you. Let me start with the big one. Both of these, by the way, I found in the Boston Globe, or I should say the Boston Globe found its way to my computer. Academic recovery has stalled, but Massachusetts schools still have over $1 billion to spend in federal funds. What's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. Somebody's enjoying the pork. Academic recovery has stalled. But wouldn't you know it, Bay State schools in all 351 cities and towns have over $1 billion to spend. Federal money. This is part of that COVID stuff. I don't know if any of it could be used for the teachers. I don't know how many of the teachers really want to come back. I know a couple that don't want to teach anymore. Between COVID and the other crap that's going on in school, they just don't want to teach anymore. And I get it. Inflation may be cooling off, but don't expect stuff that you buy at the store to get cheaper anytime soon. Hello. Have you noticed that the gasoline price is creeping up again? Last week, I'm not talking about this week that is ending today, but last week, when I would drive by BJ's, the gas pump, the price was it started at $3.19, maybe a week ago Friday. Then it made its way up to $3.22. Then I wasn't near it for a while. I went to get gas the other day, $3.44 a gallon. Yikes. $3.44. And I can just tell you, that's less expensive than many of the other places. Stop and Shop, it was already in the 350s. Cumbies. And these are the question mark gas. And forget about it if your car takes premium. Forget about it, because you're paying a whole bunch of money. And diesel prices are still up. No, I don't want to drive my diesel. I don't want to drive my diesel with diesel prices the way they are. When I bought that machine, diesel prices were around $2.60 a gallon. Jeez. Inflation may be cooling off. Have you noticed inflation cooling off? Has it cooled off in your backyard? Because I got to tell you, I haven't noticed it cooling off. Rent prices going down. Grocery prices going down. We just talked about gasoline. We know that's not going down. It's that time of year when you do some shopping, because the kids are going back to school starting at the end of this month. Are the prices at Target, Walmart, if you're going to the cheapo stores, Kohl's, Macy's, you name the place, are the prices down? Are you buying an outfit for an upcoming wedding? Are those tuxedos less expensive than they were last year at this time? I bet they're not. I'm not looking for a tux, but I'm betting that they're not. What about if you want a suit? Buy a suit. Men's suit, women's suit. Are the prices any lower? And think about this. People aren't buying clothes as much as they used to, because more and more people are working from home, so they don't have to get dressed up. If they're not getting dressed up, they're not going out and buying good stuff. But the prices are still high. Now, I'm not going to sit here and blame the store owner. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they're just out to make a buck. Everybody's out to make a buck. Everybody is out to make a buck, a legitimate buck. And yes, there are people that don't want to make legitimate money, and I think partly we can see why. But that stated, I don't see inflation cooling. The numbers might say something to some economist out there. But to the yous and me's that go out and buy the goods and services, we're not seeing it. And I'm hard-pressed to think that we're going to see it before the end of the year. I'll be happy if we do. And I'll gladly say it right here on WBSM. Wow, I was wrong. They did come down before the end of the year. So mark it. August 5th is when I said I don't expect them to come down before the end of the year. From the I need work economy. The initial jobless claims for the week ending July 29th, which was last Saturday, 227,000. And you heard it, I heard it. The Biden administration, they're going, whoopee! Because during the month of, what was that month? The month of July. There were 182,000 job gains. 227,000 first-time unemployment claims just last week. Just last week. For the entire month of July, you're looking somewhere in the range of 900,000, 950,000, maybe a million first-time unemployment claims for the entire month of July 2023. And the Biden administration is jumping up and down for 182,000 job gains. By the way, what do you have? You have people that lost jobs that went and took other jobs. So are those really job gains? Are they really gains? I don't think so, and I don't think most people think so. Here in the Commonwealth, 2,469 first-time job claims during the week that ended last Saturday. That's 457 fewer than the Saturday before. So, how do you look at it? Inflation is cooling, but don't expect to see a change at the